That was Usher. You make me wanna. In response to what's happening, you will always hear Blue Lives Matter, which is ridiculous because blue isn't a life; it is an occupation. Blue Lives Matter would mean that we're trying to give equal deference to Smurfs. But Blue Lives Matter is not a thing. It is something they say to be a counter argument to what we know is true. And even if it did matter, and they weren't representative people, they represent a job and a uniform. That is the argument for a job and a uniform. A uniform which Black Lives Matter and people who champion that, a uniform that Black people in general do not get to slip out of. We don't get to change. We don't get to become something else. We are always issue the uniform and have it for life. We don't get vacations off. We don't get special deference. The Supreme Court doesn't tell us that we don't have to, that we can't be sued. It doesn't give us qualified immunity. What it does is make us suspect. And please, please, please stop having a public official come on and tell us how violence is not the answer when it is exactly the reason that people are in the streets right now. Violence is not the answer, but it always is the first thing that generally people resort to, which causes these kinds of uprisings. If violence isn't the answer, why was he shot 7 times before you assessed what kind of threat he is? He was. If violence wasn't the answer, why did you allow a 17-year-old white boy to shoot 3 people and kill 2, and he was taken into custody? It seemed to be an answer then. If violence isn't the answer, why are you only concerned about it when it's damaging buildings, but not the people in that community? Stop telling, I swear, I cannot stand when a public official comes on. The people in those communities want safety. These riots are, the people in those communities have wanted safety for a very long time, and the problem is that they've never had it. Officers, too many police officers are giving a presumption of innocence, a presumption of professionalism that a lot of them it is not merited for. You can they right now, a lot of police officers, the Supreme Court ruled that we have to get a presumption as to what is in his mind. But before he had a mind, we need to understand what is in his heart, because that decides what his mind sees. What is in his heart is the arbiter of what he acts like, what he sees, what he believes. And far too many people see black skin as a weapon. They see black skin as a threat. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, a man was trying to get in his car. You didn't know if he had a gun or not. You shot him in his back 7 times. A little white guy walks around with an AR-15 shooting people, and he gets water and walked to under arrest. So the same professionalism that you use, the same discernment that you use to make sure that he got arrested, why didn't you use it earlier? Because it is what is in your heart. Not what's in your mind, what is in your heart that decides how you treat people. And oftentimes it is bias and rancor. Too many times they see us the same way. And I'm going to tell you something. Right now, even though the world is watching, police officers that insist on acting that way are a special danger to society. A special one. Special circumstances usually means that you've done something beyond the pale, and society is duty bound to act expeditiously because something that's an urgent situation. When police officers acting this way, knowing the world is watching, knowing that they're likely to be taped, knowing that there are going to be consequences, knowing there could be riots, they are the same thing. They are even more dangerous. They are even more detriment to society, because they have decided they're going to be who they are and suffer no consequences. I don't care who's watching. We, in our neighborhoods, sometime a coyote will be around. And if that coyote runs and stays away from people and is skittish, he's okay. But the minute he starts not fearing the human beings, in other words, consequence, he's labeled a detriment to society, and he's often either put down or moved away. You have demonstrated, and a lot of them have demonstrated, they have no concern about society. They have no concern about their actions. They have no fear of consequences. They do not need to be police officers. Just by that set of circumstances, you have forfeited your right to wear that uniform and be a danger. And you are a special circumstance. So long before we deal with what is in their minds, We need to understand what is in their hearts. And that starts from the minute they ask to be a police officer. That's the little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It is the D.L. Hughley Show.